Good evening and a very warm welcome to today's discussion on the Diaspora Fusion. We are having a lot lined up for you about living in diaspora, and with me on board is Lenny Nakitari, who lives in London. Karibu Lenny.
Thank you so much.
So Lenny works as a security close protection operative in London. In this, in general, he's a bodyguard by profession. So Lenny, we are having today we are going to discuss about actually just living outside in comparison to being in Kenya. And I'm having so much lined up for you in terms of questions. And this will be my first question. Lenny, tell us a little more about yourself. Why did you grow up? Why did you decide to settle for life in London away from home? Just briefly tell me about that.
Well, first of all, Cecilia, thank you so much for having me, for inviting me to your show. I really appreciate it massively. And going back as in myself, I mean, when I was growing up back in the day, I developed this interest in fitness. Okay. So, I mean, growing up in the village, in the western part of the country, we didn't know much about fitness, but we could watch we'll see the magazines and watch telly. So I had a vision of what I need to do, and the only place I thought is to get in the city. Okay. I mean, from the village, you think of going to the city. Of course. And that would be Nairobi, of course. So to travel down to the city, and I did not find what I wanted, actually. So I realized it's not the city now. I need to go further. Okay. Yes. But before I went further, there's few countries I went through before actually settling to where I am now at the moment. Okay. Yes. What
exactly were you looking for? What is that one thing that made you feel like, no, I'm not going to get this in Kenya. I'm going to get it maybe somewhere away from this country. What is that one thing you're looking for?
Partly was pretty much the way things were during the day. Education-wise, people used to wish of, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. When I grow up, I want to be a pilot. But we thought, okay, what about if you can't be a pilot, what can you do? Okay. So I thought, okay, I don't know if you remember back in the day, we used to have the wrestling. We used to have wrestling, so we used to look up for wrestling. So I thought, okay, to be able to do the wrestling or to do anything to do with fitness, the only place to go is abroad, because wrestling, everybody was white. Okay. We didn't see anybody black. So we thought, okay, to be able to do fitness, I'll have to go abroad. So that stuck to my head.
Okay. Now, Lenny, I'm sure before you left, you had this picture in mind. You really had a dream, and you expected that you're going to really achieve that by stepping out. Can you please describe to us the picture, and can you say it's a dream come true?
Now, you see, if I take you back, when I came to Nairobi, I started working as a fitness coach, or a fitness trainer rather. Okay. It was very, very difficult in Nairobi, because one thing about those days was instructors in the gyms, they wouldn't allow anybody to come in the class who they don't know. Okay. Yeah. So it was quite difficult, because whenever I tried to learn, let's say I wanted to shadow the instructor when they're teaching, they won't allow that. They'll say, oh, the members doesn't like anybody to stay around, to stick around watching them teach. But that wasn't the reason. The reason was, I came to find out this later on, the reason was the instructor didn't want you to stay there so that you can copy their moves. So it was frustrating. Okay. I was frustrated everywhere I went. It was the same story. But thank God to some of the instructors, they did help me as well, picked me up and showed me the way. Okay. But what drives me mostly, that I need to go out there and train and become a better instructor or a better fitness coach, was the frustration I went through. So I thought, if I go somewhere and train myself and do better, I mean, basically just get a better education as far as fitness is concerned, and come back and beat them. So that
Okay.
really drives me up.
So-
It did really fire me up.
Okay, so your main goal was go out there, get the experience, and come back and
Yes.
oh,
And beat them.
it's quite inspirational. Now, how was it adapting to new ways of life? Now, living from Kenya to South Africa, then to Japan, then finally to London. How was it?
Yes. So when I got a chance to work in the gym now,
Okay.
because you see, back in the day, you could just prove you can do aerobics, the so-called aerobics now.
Okay.
You could do aerobics, and you get a class to teach, that is.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to get a job in one of the gym in Gigiri, and I met lots of people. I met lots of friends, and one thing about me, every time I met a foreign person, I would take their contact.
Okay.
So it was for fun, just to take their contact and communicate with them, just to know what goes down the other end. So when time came, that is back in 2000, well, long ago,
Okay.
back in 2000, I remember my first trip was to go to South Africa, because a friend had told me that in South Africa their training academies are different than down here. I mean, we didn't have many anyway.
Okay.
So I managed to go down with the help of, well, going back again, I used to be a DJ as well. So I used to run a DJ. So that's how I made a bit of money to go out. Anyway, to cut the story short, is so I managed to go to South Africa, and the training was not what I wanted, because I was more focused into this group fitness exercise, because of the aerobic. So my point was to get aerobic in a better version of it, to do a better version of it, and then pursue from there.
Okay.
So from there, I did not like South Africa. I mean, back in the day, it was quite completely difficult down there to survive if you're somebody from a different country. So I got another chance to go to Japan and New Zealand for the same issue.
Okay. Now, Lenny, during your journey throughout this period, we do understand that still even up to we are living currently, and in this 21st century, we still see scenarios of racial discrimination across the world. So during your process, from traveling from Kenya to South Africa to Japan, and all that, have you faced racial discrimination, and how did you take it?
Well, I mean, being someone from the third world country, going to the West, you actually don't know what you're going to face out there. Because coming from Kenya, we had a mentality of the white person, who is this lovely, this mzungu, So you kind of enjoy wanting to talk to them and want to know more about them. So there is few actually, they will be talking to you, wanting to know a little bit about you as well. But I mean, during those days, I think we didn't know what racism was. We didn't know if you're being racial abused, you didn't know. You thought it's normal.
Oh, really?
We thought it's normal. But then you come to realize later on what actually is going down. And also, in the West, so let's say if we're talking of the UK in particular, there's a certain level of racism, you see. And if you go to the northern part of Europe, it's completely a different level of racism. So I've experienced it all, and I just thank God that my goal really just kept me going. So going back again, I was really frustrated, but my aim did remain the same. I said I need to get better. I need to get to be a better fitness coach, and then when I get back home, so I'm gonna be showing people exactly. Actually, basically, it was just to get better and just come home and just show them up.
Okay. Now, Lenny, you've said that you're facing different kind of racial discrimination. Can you just paint for us that picture so that we get the difference? What do you mean when you say you got a different kind of racial discrimination at different places?
All right. Yeah. Now, I'll put it this way. Yes. In UK now, or Britain in England, in particular. You see, with our culture here, it's completely different. When I speak to you, I'm speaking to you openly. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I'll tell you what I want. I mean, but out there, you'll be given like a half of the information. If you ask somebody, let's say you ask the way, somebody will tell you, yeah, just go out down that way, because nobody wants to talk to you. Now, coming back to that question again, with the West, with the England now, there is this kind of a smile, in your face. There'll be a smile in your face, and somebody doesn't really want. So basically, somebody's being polite. But even if they don't want you to be there, they were being polite. And also, the main one is somebody will take you being stupid if you have an accent.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
So immediately I'll open my mouth. I'm from the third world. Somebody will be like, oh, okay. You see, you've been put already in a different category. And then the service will be completely different. You see? Now, going back to the northern part of Europe now, that is completely different. The level is higher up. The racism is a bit higher. So you'll be shown. It will be right in your face. They will talk to you right in your face, like, why are you here? Then you'll be like, oh, okay, sorry. And then I'm sorry. You're actually not speaking openly, but it's in your heart. You're like, okay, sorry. And then you maybe walk off.
Okay. Yeah. Now, in the same measure, have you been able to get friends, let's say with them, having that you have been there for quite some time, do you have friends, and have you managed to maybe meet with people from this, from your home country, and, creating that network? I
tried a few times, but then also there was this culture, or there's a culture in UK that to meet somebody from home, they see as in you're coming to bother them. That's one thing that really hurt my feeling. So I met a Kenyan, and I tried to get close to them and try to say, hey, we need to catch up, And somebody will say, oh yes, let's exchange numbers and all those. And then you call, nobody picks the phone, or you text, they say, oh, I'm so busy, then I'll catch up with you later on. And it just keeps on going. So you get frustrated by the way things are going. And then you get frustrated by a homie who does not really want to catch up and talk. So you think, is it me? Yes.
You begin questioning if you're the problem.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, right. Now, what of other races? Have you been able to make friends with other people?
Don't get me wrong, there's few that are friends, but it's a kind of a distant friendship. And then also you meet other people as well down there who are like foreign from different countries. See? And also you meet also the British people themselves, who are also good people, but they want to know more about your country, why you're here, So you just have to really kind of balance it and maintain and keep why are you there? Just think of why are you there? Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been pushed to the point of just wanting to pack up your things and come back home and getting done with everything?
Oh yes, many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
many times.
Let us come back to Kenya. We, as the citizens of Kenya, we know that Kenya is a beautiful country with lovely people who are they share their good deeds. They're good at creating the network and stuff. Let's, if I may just ask, what do people think about Kenya out there? Maybe for those you have interacted with.
Now, something funny is, we left Kenya to go abroad to search for wherever they call it, greener pastures and all those. And then when we get there, we start learning about our country. So then you don't realize, we don't realize what we've got is actually somebody from the West is dying to have it.
Oh,
yes.
That's beautiful.
So it's a shame that I went abroad to learn about my country.
Okay.
Which is completely different, and I did not expect it. But I did not know my country until I got there.
Okay.
And you know who was telling me about it? Is someone from the West who's telling me about my country and how beautiful it is. Okay. And how lucky I am to have to be actually from that country. that did hurt my feeling. I might be honest.
I think it's just a tendency of when you're outside or you're away from something, you never understand how important it is until you're away from
Exactly.
it. Yeah, of course.
Like they say, you never realize what you have until you lose it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, having that you're working in London, can you just paint for us a picture of you work for how long when it comes to how many hours do you take in a day at work, and maybe what's the average retirement age for someone working in London?
Oh, right, yes. I mean, just the life down there is completely different.
Okay.
Now, the good thing about the West is the opportunities. The jobs are all over. You can be doing this job, you leave it, next day you'll do another one. And that's how it is. That's the way it is. But also, if you're doing a day job that pays your rent and all those, you can have an extra job that will be, as they call it, is a leisure. That's a leisure job. That's a leisure job. But anyway, it's never a leisure job for a foreign. For a foreign, it's never a leisure job. Because you'll find you come from a job to a job, and your life keeps on moving. So you come from a job to another job, and life keeps moving. And life keeps moving. So by the time you realize, at the end of the day, you're completely kaput, as they call it.
Okay.
You're completely done. You're completely done. The different, I would say, from what I see, this is from what I see, we're actually much better off. We're so much better off in so many ways. The only thing is we do not see and we do not think. We're not thinking.
Okay.
While somebody else from the West can see and can think.
So are you saying that if I'm working in Kenya, naturally, if a normal Kenyan wakes up, let's say earliest 5 a.m., so I really wanted to understand, at what time does someone wake up in London? At what time do they report at work? And what are some of the criteria for you working there? For how long do you work in a day? And probably, what's the retirement age for somebody working in London?
Correct. Now, saying that coming from a job to a job, for example, for instance, when I first started, I could wake up at, by the way, they have a very good transport system.
Okay,
so
nice.
I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to catch a 6 o'clock train because they have a very good transport system. So I'd wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock, travel, be at work for either 6:30 or 7:30. So it's always between around there. And your life will carry on, will keep going on like that. And you find out that, actually, back to your question again. So the retirement age is completely different from our retirement age.
Okay.
So you find somebody can decide to retire, for example, at 55.
Okay.
At 55, decide to retire. Or some will work up to 65, not because they need money, because it actually keeps them going. It's sort of a discipline. It's sort of a discipline to them.
Okay.
So they will keep going until they're 65. They'll keep, but that's actually like the set age for retirement.
That's 65 years.
65 years, yes.
Okay.
But some of them actually they can go beyond because of the.
So when you say go beyond, it means if at all, let's say I'm a journalist, I'm allowed to work past 65 years, so long as, let's say, I'm competent or I'm good at the services that I'm offering. Or what do you mean?
You'll be allowed. You'll be allowed. The only difference is the hours will be dropped.
Oh, okay.
So you can't, because I mean, when you're younger, you work. You can do as
You're
many
more
work
vibrant,
as well.
of
I mean,
course.
as many jobs as you want.
Yeah, true.
But then, as you grow older, so you become now to think. You become to think about your time now. You see, you want to spend time maybe with your grandchildren and all those, and also your energy. You run out of energy as well.
Of course, of course.
So you find somebody drops the hours, and then you be more like working in the afternoons or just 3 hours a day,
Okay.
and you move on like that, or 3 times a week.
Okay.
So while with us here, we have that kind of, we haven't got that yet. We haven't got there yet. You find even you almost retiring and you got nothing.
Okay.
But thank God we have health actually.
Okay.
We have health, yes.
Oh, okay, nice. Now, when you look at, the first time you went there, you're actually a foreigner before you became a citizen.
Correct.
So how are jobs and opportunities offered to new people? What is the criteria that is there? Let's say I'm new, I'm in London, and of course I've come here to work, and this is my first time. So where does someone start from? Do you just land on your job immediately, or of course you just have to start from somewhere before you reach what you want? Please tell us about that.
Now, it's something fun about the West is, it's not funny actually, I might say maybe is the right way to do it.
Okay.
So when you come from Africa or you come from a different country, you land there, you go to a paperwork.
Okay.
You go to paperwork, ready to work. So they won't give you the job right away. You'll do the interview and all those, yes, they find out you're qualified for it. But you're not really qualified, you know the reason why? Because you don't have a paper that it proves that you can do that job properly, because you have a foreign paper. So until they train you their way, you'll be on you'll be put on a training program, yes. You'll be told, okay, you will be put on a training program, or can you please just take your time to go through a training of the same until you get our paper now, and then that will be like approval.
Okay.
Basically, that will be approval.
So it works for all professions or just specific professions?
Now, it's different with the, the high-profile professions, let's say like nurses and doctors, because maybe they went to maybe kind of a graduate school or something like that. But you'll be given an induction, and this induction will be in the form of training still, and it's not just for a day or so. It will be maybe for a period of a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's quite informative. Now, let's talk about the education system. For us, it's an 844 kind of system. Give us just a brief summary of the education system.
You know what I must say? The education system, we're quite behind. Well, I'm sorry to say, but we're quite behind. We are very far away. The reason being is, you see, the West have invested into education and training, and they know that is the key for any young people coming up.
Okay.
Their system is provided, the education is provided to the kids. That's for free, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much, it's for free.
From the lowest level
From the young
to
one,
university
I
college.
mean, yes, I've got 3 little girls, 2 of them in school now.
Beautiful.
Now, the nursery is free,
Okay.
the meal is free, and we only buy the uniform.
Nice.
Uniform and a few bits of books, but they still get books at school.
Okay.
Now, with us here, you see now, like now, what's going on at the moment now? We're asking kids to go to school. We're bashing parents why the kids are in school,
Okay.
and then we have to ask them for money.
Okay.
So that's the massive difference. It's a massive gap, by the way.
Okay.
Massive gap.
Okay, right. We are going on a short break, and we still have so much lined up for you. Stay tuned.
In this life, we all walk through loss, heartache, and disappointments.
Our eyes are opened, our ears are opened, our hearts are opened, our minds are opened, so that God can speak to us directly.
God is with us every step of the way.
So when you see how they are transformed through their relationship with Jesus, their encounters with God, it changes me.
Paul, it's made me lose belief in everything. I had rented an apartment at the time. I bought a very small TV. I was doing well, and then I was going to church less. I was reading my Bible less.
Even if your friends walk away, he said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. This is why we worship him.
When I saw you coming to help us, it felt like hope was restored. The light that dimmed within me lit up again. The water is clean and tastes much better now.
Welcome on board once again, and still with me is Lenny Nakitari, who is still helping us understand and compare and contrast the life between living in Kenya and in Western nations. Now, Lenny, back onto our discussion.
Right.
I really want to understand what are some of these. Okay, you have lived outside Kenya, and you have also lived in Kenya, and there's so many things that you can compare when it comes to lifestyle in Kenya and outside.
Yes.
What are some of the things you feel we as Kenyans can learn from the countries you've visited, or London to be specific?
Now, I've learned that if we took even just maybe a 1% of their education system, transport system, we will be a mile ahead. We will be a mile ahead as a country. Because if you come to the transport system in London, they've got underground and underground. So you underground and you still go underground. And then the overland now, their SGR now, the overland now is just amazing as well. And then you come and see now the bus transport now. It's to die for. And the system has been set in a way that is controlled as well. So you won't have the problems of all this going on, people having to walk long distances. No. So they have a system whereby you'll have like a travel, they call it a travel card. Yeah, where you can just top it up, the money, and you use it for the whole week or the whole month. It depends.
Nice.
Depending,
so there's a system whereby you don't pay transport like we do.
You just top it up. It's like credit card. It's a form of credit card. And you just top it up, and you go on the bus. You just touch. They got a little machine. You just touch and go sit down. And it's strictly no standing. If they're standing, there's enough space to stand. Now you can use the same card on the train. You can use the same card on the train, and you move around easily. So those are the basics. The West are beating. I mean, they're beating us actually, and it's not that we don't have the resources. We can do it.
Now, education is very key to the development of any country. And before we went on a break, you are really talking about education. I want you to help us understand, or rather, get the idea of what maybe we can embrace in future about the education sector in Kenya, or rather we can learn from London.
Yes, it's pretty much the basics. The West, they're doing the basics right for the public. For instance, if you look at the education, it's something that should be given to a child. Any young growing person should get education for free. Forget about the university part of it. You see, that foundation, we need to invest in that foundation. Even if a parent comes to pay for the university later on, this child has got the basic education in the primary level before actually they can go up. I mean, people choose to finish school and take on a college or go beyond, but some, they can still do business with that basic education they have. Well, we can't provide that. We just can't provide that. And that's really embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. When you're there, that's when you see it's embarrassing. But when we're down here, we're back here home, we don't see it. We just don't see it. So if we could just invest into young kids, education-wise. I'm telling you, I think we'll be on a different level. Yes. Now,
after one is done with the education, they definitely expect to land on a job, right? Like we have seen in Kenya, as far as with the time, the curve of unemployed people, it has gone down. But still you're having a problem whereby we are having graduates and people with skills who are still having a problem landing on any job. So how is it the same situation in London, or are we having a different situation? Maybe we are having, once people have graduated, they're just immediately integrated in the working system. Just tell us about that.
You see, before, when we used to have this kind of mentality that, the older people should go home and then the young people come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they got energy. No. For me, I see it should be level. It should be equal. The older should be there and the young one should come in. Now, coming to the young, strong, educated, you name it, coming up to the industry, and they don't get jobs. The problem being is we haven't allowed actually these kids during the time to have an internship in a company, at least to train them as they go, to allow our kids to develop some interest in something.
Okay.
Because we all grew up saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, I want to be that, I want to be that. But we don't know actually, you pick up interest as you go. Yeah. For example, I went up when I was, I had this picture of fitness coach.
Okay.
And then I developed this interest in security. And then I ended up being an amazing, security, for I might put it that way.
Okay.
So if we allow our kids to have an internship in big companies, just for maybe less than 20 hours a week, that will be enough for them to learn, just to learn about the job if they would like to do it.
Okay.
I mean, that would be like for free. I mean, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve.
Okay. Now, that's what you feel, but is it what is being done in London? Are we having such being implemented?
Yes, absolutely. So let's say for the company that now I'm working with right now, we have university graduates come down.
Okay.
And they will do for like a year. You know, they call it the leap year, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, they come in and do the leap year while they're thinking of what to do next.
Okay.
And they'll work out. They'll be paid minimum, of course, but they are training on a job. They want to see what they want to do in the future. So internship in a different, whether it will be in hotelier industry or it will be in any manufacturing, just to have them to develop something that they will want to do in the future.
Okay. Now, you are a Kenyan living outside. What's your take on integration of Kenyans living in diaspora in national development? Because in the past, we have seen records whereby, like in 2018, the Central Bank of Kenya had it that Kenyans living abroad have sent money 4 times the amount than they did a decade earlier. And in 2019, by January, the cash flow had grown by 39.5%. So can we say this should be the next big thing, and maybe the government should have these at the top of their plan as one of the best ways to invest rather for the country?
You know what, I will say it's a massive thing to really come and see the Kenyans actually abroad really sending that amount of money home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not only for the national development. That's my point of view.
Okay.
It's for the Kenyans themselves now appreciating where they come from.
Okay.
Because back in the day when we left home, you left saying, I'm going and I don't know when I'm going to come back.
Okay.
Because you don't see as in your country is valuable enough. Now, I think that percentage should be more actually. If we can actually work hard and get it maybe to a 50% by maybe in the next year.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let us touch on economy. Basically, you've been in Kenya and you've been out. What is the cost of living in London? For just given day, how much does one get to spend? Let's on food, or maybe transportation if they're going to work, on just basic duties. What's the cost of living?
It's quite expensive. It's quite expensive to live in London or abroad. If rather, let me just specifically speak to about England or Britain in particular. It's very expensive. You can get a very good job and you'll be paid very well.
Okay.
And half of your salary might go to the rent, and the other half is going to the bills.
Okay.
So you completely left with nothing to live on, as in transport-wise, and all those.
Okay.
So you find out that actually you keep going on the same, you're going round and round, looking for more bits and pieces of jobs to really kind of top up. So you see the cost of living out there is very expensive because these countries, they're already developed.
Yes,
you see?
of course.
So when we go there, we kind of working so hard to contribute to the economy. And life will carry on like that, will carry on like that, will carry on like that. So until, for Kenyan abroad, they wake up, well, we're already up now.
Of course.
Until we actually try to push that money we're sending home, at least just a little bit more.
Okay.
That is actually you investing in your future. I might say that's actually investing in your future, because when you're out there, you're there, yes, but you don't belong there.
Of course, of course. Yes. So okay, now we can just can we conclude that most Kenyans who actually move to abroad, they don't actually go there because maybe they just want to live there, but the main goal is to go there, invest, and come back home. Okay. Now, you have lived in Kenya and London, right? How does the economy, okay, you have mentioned about the economy, but how does it vary with Kenya? Because I'm looking at the same time, somebody in Kenya is complaining about the state of, the cost of living, because even just the basic things are becoming hard to provide. But as far as you've mentioned that in London, the cost, almost half of your money can go on rent and whatsoever. It's almost the same thing with Kenya, but can you really, how can you please just compare for me the cost of living, not the cost of living, rather the economy in London and Kenya?
Yes. Now, the economy in Kenya, I don't think if you can compare it to the West or in England in particular.
Okay.
For instance, if I say, I was reading an article actually back in 2017. Yeah, if I can use that example, back in 2017, when when I used to follow this thing quite a lot, I saw the GDP of Kenya in 2017. It was $3,500 compared to the UK. At the same time, it was 44,000, about 44,000. Now, if you look at the 3,000 GDP and 44,000, that's a massive gap.
Definitely.
That's a massive gap. I know it's long, well, it's way back, but it's a massive gap. Now, I read an article last week about now Kenya is number 56, I think, number 56 out of 190 countries in business doing. This was rated by the World Bank. Yes, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, by World Bank. Now, I'm thinking, okay, this is last year, actually. This is 2020. So I'm thinking, if we came from number 61 to 56 in business doing, and we've been rated by World Bank, so that means something can be done. That means we can do something. So with the contribution of the Diaspora fellas, we can do something. We can do something. Absolutely, we can do something. And it's not that we can, we have it.
Yeah, we're already seeing that on the ground. Now, you have lived outside for quite some time. If you're given power to just change one thing about Kenya, what will it be?
Oh, my God, I've got lots, but I will just target on one or two. If I had to change anything, and I'm working, God help, I'm working on it.
Of course.
I will work on how we provide our services. How we provide our services in our company, in our companies. Whether it's in the police force, whether it's in our hotel industries. It's completely, I mean, when you're out there, that's when you see the service completely different. How we see it. And also the training. We don't train our staff well enough. We don't give them enough tools. We don't give them enough tools to actually work in that industry or work in that department.
Tools? What do you mean when you talk of enough tools?
So, well, a tool will be something very simple. You see, like, for example, for instance, in our police force, the training, and that training, whether it's tactically or just to give the service in general, there is something somewhere that is not being delivered. Because now we have a massive gap between Mwananchi and the police force. So you see, there's no relationship. There's not much relationship between. You see, when you see a policeman, you'll be scared. Now, coming back to the general service in particular, now I'll speak about the security now. You find when you go somewhere, somebody, for example, somebody will be on the phone talking to you, and then you're thinking, okay, if I can see this, someone else can see that. And then you're being employed there to provide a service. So if you're on the phone, then can I give you time to be on the phone, and then I wait for you to finish. But then that staff, at the end of the day, they want a salary, and that salary is coming from this person who's just standing at the reception, waiting to be served. So if you walk off, there's a customer is gone, yeah? Now, I won't blame the staff. This is what I do. This is what I've done my research. I'd never blame the staff. I blame the employer, because you did not invest enough in the training for this person to understand that this is working time, and this is not chit-chat time. It's a symbol. If we just put our staff there and ask them if they have the tools, are they happy with the environment? Is the environment safe? And do they know what they're doing? This is a massive problem. So many of them, we employ them, and they have no clue what they're doing. You get there and you ask, hey, so-and-so, they say, oh, why are you coming? Or, I don't know about it. You see? So, no training at all. We need to invest in training.
All right. Now, I believe you're now a citizen of London.
Yes.
Can you just tell us the process that you went through for you to gain the citizenship? Because was it easy? Was it a walk in the park? How was the process, and what was the process?
Trust me, it's exciting when you're working towards it. But once you get there, then you find out that actually, no, it's not that. However, there is good and the bad.
Of course.
Now, the process to my end, how I got it, or how I went through to get it, was through the profession that I had. So I had a high-profile profession, and that really helped me to go through restricted places. Yes. Thank God I was quick learner, and I got into the system very quick. And one thing about the West is you do what they want, you do what they say, you abide by the law, and you will be in. You'll be in the system. Abide by the law, not to involve yourself into criminal or get into anything or get arrested or something like that. So you'll be assessed immediately when you're there. Immediately you get there, that's your actual assessment starts. How long did it take you to get into the system? There are people, as we speak right now, they've got like 15, 20 years. They don't have paperwork. And it's really bad. So once you get in that, that's like a plus. That's one thing as a plus. And then after 2 years, during those days, my days when I went down there, was after 2 years, you can get, what do you call it? It's not season. Is I went with a work holiday visa. Yes. So then after 2 years, you have to prove that you've been a good citizen, or you've been a good person, and then you'll be given another 3 years. You'll be given another 3 years of a leave to remain. That's the one. Yes. You'll be given a leave to remain. So leave to remain. This is a kind of a document or a visa. You'll be allowed to do everything. You can be even allowed to vote. Yes, but the only trouble is you cannot go in another country because the passport you hold, it says you're Kenyan, you're not British. But what is in your document is what keeps you there. So the passport, they won't allow you to go. You have to apply for the visa. But what's in the passport, it actually allows you to be there and you can go there. So it's actually like a different picture there. So the passport, it can allow you to go because you got to apply for the visa because it's Kenyan. While if you open it, you're entitled to be there.
That's quite interesting. Now, what are some of the privileges that come with being London citizen? And having that you're a dual citizen, are you also subject to the same privileges, or it's a different story?
It's amazing how when you have this book, I call it a book anyway, you can go anywhere you want. So back in those days, I couldn't travel because I've got a Kenyan passport. If I want to go, let's say, to Northern Ireland, I'll have to apply for the visa, which is going to take 2 weeks. Now, with this one is, I'll wake up in the morning and call the airline and say, I need to go to Czech Republic, I need to go to Germany. I'll just pay off and go. And then on the queue, there is a queue saying British citizen or visitors. So you'll be queuing on the citizen.
Okay.
And the service is straightforward. It's self-service.
Okay.
But also, it comes with a, of course, with a good pass. I mean, you have to be really.
Are you getting, let's say, the health service privileges and all that, insurance covers? Are you also subject to every other right that a citizen is born in London gets?
Yes, you get everything. You get pretty much everything because you are a citizen now.
Of course.
So you will be treated the same in terms of the service, as in terms of what you entitled to. But what remains, I mean, pretty much, let me not say anything bad.
Okay,
I don't get in trouble, yeah? Yes, you will pretty much you'll get the same service, everything all right.
Okay. Now, finally, of course, there's a Kenyan who is watching you, and they're also having a dream of maybe exploring life beyond these borders.
Yeah.
What message do you have for them?
My message is, do your best, invest home. I mean, do your best, invest home, and come back home.
Okay, now I'm talking of somebody who, they've not actually planned everything. They're just having it as an idea. What do they need? What's their starter pack?
Now,
to this?
of course, when you speak out of experience, it's completely different.
Okay.
And I do not think, maybe there's few Kenyans that went abroad and they had someone to pick them. They had someone to hold their hand.
Okay.
I'm sure there are very few.
True.
Mostly, you get there, you're on your own. You go to struggle to get back, or you struggle to carry on. So, when you get down there, please, just think of where you come from. You actually need to think of where you come from. You can never be a millionaire abroad. That's one thing.
Okay.
You will never be a millionaire abroad because that country is already developed.
Okay.
You can be a millionaire in Kenya. You can own something in Kenya, but you'll never own something down out there. So the best advice for me is get what you have, save it, send home, and give yourself time.
Okay, nice. And just like that, we have marked the end of our today's discussion. So much has been said, both informative and entertaining. And just like that, my co-panelist has been Lenny Nakitari, and I've been your host, Cecilia Lubanga. See you next time.
Thank you.
In this life,